Hello one and all, welcome to a Galaxy Man Show interview show. So for today's guest is this incredible actor and director known by the name of Jonathan Glickman. He is an actor and director, so I'm about to add Jonathan into the live now and have a chat with Jonathan.
Hello.
Hey Jonathan, what's up?
Not much, man. How are you doing?
Yeah, pretty good.
Are you good? Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Thank you for
Sorry
coming
about
on
this.
to my
I'm
show.
kind of not a problem. I'm very, very happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. So what I'm going to get you to do first is I'm going to get you to introduce yourself and explain a bit about what you do as a person, and I'll dive right into questions.
Okay. Well, if you want me to drone on, please do stop me because I do just go on for ages. So I'm a filmmaker based in the UK. I make films basically around sort of, fan fiction like Batman, Star Wars, the Portal franchise. So I kind of just came up from doing nothing. Like, I didn't go to film school or anything like that. I one day just thought, I want to make a Batman film. So, I spent 2 to 3 years making the first Batman film, and it was very well received at the time. I mean, I think we got over 50,000 views in the first 6 months, which was just so crazy because we spent no money on it. We went through hell to make it. We didn't really think anyone would notice, but they did. And from there, we've spun on to make another Batman film. And now we're working on about 10 different films, and I've had the chance to work with some amazing people since my first film, and that list is just growing exponentially. And yeah, that's you know what, that wasn't too bad. I thought I'd go on for about 10 minutes, so I think that wasn't too bad.
Awesome. So for my very first question, Jonathan, so as you mentioned before, how you worked on Batman films, for the very first Batman film, Terra of Arkham, what was that experience like filming that?
Well, Terra of Arkham was a very interesting one because, before then we had made sort of Batman films, but not really. And the Batman Terra of Arkham experience was so interesting because it was the first time that I had to act so professionally as a director. I didn't have, a huge budget behind myself. I raised all the money for the film myself, and 45 to 50 minutes of a film for your first sort of outing is very, very ambitious. I wouldn't recommend anyone do that unless you've got funds behind you because it's very, very dangerous. I spent 3 years making, give or take. And there was lots of, cast and crew issues. Everyone was doing it off their own back, so there was lots of challenges in the sense of it was a passion project, and by the end of it, we really had an idea of how many people really loved the character and loved the collaborative process. I work as a director company, and our motto is collaboration is key, and I really do believe that if you work with collaborative people, like for instance on Batman, it was so rewarding because you're all there for the same reason. And then obviously that film came out. We had a huge premiere for it, just a big celebration of everyone who was involved in the project. Just a big thank you because we couldn't pay people financially. When I first started the film, I think I was in college, but we could thank them by sharing the experience and the work and the passion with everyone else, and that's what we did. And I think currently the films are, don't quote me, I think it's just past 30,000 views. I don't know. I do lose track, so that's the last time I checked, I think. But very rewarding experience.
Awesome. So for my next question, you actually directed the Relic of Star Wars, a Star Wars story. What was that like?
That one was crazy. I mean, that one was still in the process of editing that film at the minute. It comes out this December, and it's just something that I came up with the idea in 2015, and it was when the new films were coming out. Before any of the sequel trilogy visited cinemas, and I had this idea that no one had explored at the time. And the idea was very basic. I can't say too much about it because it's like the key thing of the film. But basically, I had an idea about a group of individuals all brought to one specific location to find something that we've seen before in other films. And like I said, it wasn't explored at the time, and I had a script in 2015. But since then, Disney themselves have explored it, but fans agreed that it didn't really do the inspiration justice. So we thought, let's just do it, you know. So yeah, we decided late last year to pick the project back, and that be our key focus for 2020. Obviously, the world fell apart. So filming was meant to take place the beginning of February, early March, and obviously that is literally when everything, especially on our side in the UK, that's when everything just shut down. So we took the the difficult decision to put everything on hold, focus on other things. Then in August, I believe, we were told that there's some restrictions, but if you work carefully and work your way around certain things, you can film again. So we made sure that we filmed everything outside. That in between takes, if directors or actors weren't talking to each other, that they were a good distance or wearing face protection. And yeah, it was difficult. We've had to change the ending of the film because I can kind of reveal that the ending of the film was meant to take place on a rebel base, and we had 50 extras planned, and they all were, the really high quality costumes. We had plans to put like CGI X-wings and things like that in the scene, but we have a deadline to meet. Our film's supposed to be coming out this December, and our film relies heavily on the forest where we film needs to be able to. We need to be able to change the color of the trees in post production. So we can't wait too long, because when those leaves fall off, it's going to change the look of the film and end up having to wait another year. So we made the executive decision: let's change the ending. Let's sort of rewrite it. The film's actually benefited more around the new ending of the film, which is crazy and hilarious at the same time. But like I said, we're in the middle of post-production now, and we're just so excited for people to see what we've come up with, because it's our first film during the pandemic, and we've managed to create something that we didn't even expect we'd be able to create, and it's just so exciting now. Yeah.
Awesome. So for my next question, you were actually sci-fi called Glados. What was that experience like for you?
Oh, well, Glados is another weird pandemic film. So I've always wanted to make a film based around the Portal franchise. I love the games so much, and there's been a few fan films in the past. One famously that director Dan Trachtenberg created, and he went on to, make some absolutely amazing films. And he's in Hollywood now. That's where he got his big break, was a Portal fan film. So I'd always had the ambition to create a Portal fan film, but I didn't really know what story to explain. So basically, I went back to basics. I did a full sort of retrospective of the Portal franchise, and picked areas that I thought hadn't been explored very well, or hadn't been explored to the depths that could have been explored. And from there, I wrote a short script for around a 20-minute short film. And what's really funny, I wasn't planning to be in the film. I've only acted in a couple of things. I'll leave that acting to much better people. but I thought this is the perfect opportunity during the pandemic to create a Portal fan film because, I can be working on the 3D models, animation, and all the other sort of rendering techniques and learning new things, which is what I did. So I then decided I'd play the lead character of Doug Ratman, and I managed to shoot around half of the film all by myself, which was over the course of sort of weekends, setting up different lighting systems, green screen here and there. And that's one thing that's been really good about the pandemic. I've been able to create this 10 minutes of film. But sadly, we're at a bit of a sort of impasse because the second part of the film we need to film takes place indoors and it features a lot of people. So until everything is lifted, we can't film those scenes, which is unfortunately it's sad because we really thought we were going to get the film finished this year. There was a point around July where the predictions were that the full restrictions would be lifted around mid-October, but that is just gone out the window. So we've kind of got everything on hold at the minute. Everything that can be done has been done, but it's in the sort of it's trying to crawl back and continue the production, but we don't want to do it until we can guarantee the safety of our cast, because that for me is the priority, definitely.
Awesome. So for my next question, you were actually directed a Batman, another Batman project,
Yes.
Cowl. What was that like?
That one was interesting because that was the first film I ever created, and I don't really consider that now part of our filmography as a company, but I consider that a sort of big learning curve. The film went through hell to sort of be created. It's funny because shooting took place over the span of around 2 years. So you can see drastic changes to people's appearance in the film. And we had to rework scenes left, right, and centre. It was not the project that we thought it was going to be. But again, through that project, I met specific individuals through just talking to people on set, or going on Facebook and going through these creative networking groups. And that's one thing that I'd really implore people to do. If you guys are if you guys are filmmakers or creative people in general, the best thing you can do right now during the pandemic is collaborate with people. Just communicate with people online and share your interests, because it's been something that we've been doing. But back onto sort of the shots. Like I said, it's a big learning curve. I had no real idea what we were doing. I remember my first day on set as a director, I was just winging it. You see things like documentaries and behind of how to sort of direct people, but at that time, YouTube wasn't very big on the tutorial. So all I was learning was kind of how I would like to be treated as an actor, and it was great. The first day on set as a director was absolutely amazing. It was terrifying, but it was amazing, and it went a lot smoother than I think anyone thought it was going to do. But then we set a precedent, and from there, everything kind of went downhill very, very quickly. Lots of members of the cast dropped out at the last minute, and it was just like, guys, you filmed 2 scenes, you've got to film 1 more, and not contractually obligated to do anything. So we kind of had to change the scripts in certain places, and it ended up basically just being this amalgamation of things that didn't really make sense. But like, things you can take away from projects that don't go well are things like who you meet and not making the same mistake twice. So if anyone's got a sort of a film that they've created in the past that they're not necessarily proud of, there's nothing wrong with that. As long as you've picked up something from that set or from that journey, then I think you've won.
Awesome. So for my next question, Jonathan, so you're actually in this new project that you directed, or it's called Redolent, and it's on actually Indiegogo. What
Yes.
can you explain a bit about that?
Well, I've not really explained anything about Dolan other than what's in the Indiegogo sort of synopsis, but I'll basically sort of go through a few things for the first time here. So, Redolent, again, is a script that I've had lying around for around 2 years, and it's a short project that's got the potential to be a full feature film, a 90-minute feature film. And if I could describe the film by picking three other films that that would sort of mash together and create this, it would be Saw, as in the first Saw. Saw meets Eraserhead meets Zodiac. It's very much a psychological thriller film that I've designed specifically to be a visual piece of storytelling. We're not relying on characters to, explain the story away through dialogue or anything like that. The film actually only contains one visible character, and this character finds himself in a situation where he's slowly unwrapping the puzzle to figure out how he's ended up in a certain situation. And without spoiling too much, the key thing I think people can take away from this film, you look for things in the scene, whether that be hidden things in the background or the way the frame is set up, you're going to benefit from things like that, because this is the story we're not holding the audience's hand in. We're very much trying to let the audience take their own interpretation of what the film means. And it's going to be very, very exciting because we've got a specific actor in mind, an actor who's quite big in the UK. They've been featured on like BBC, and all those sort of networks, and they love the project. So the fact that someone that believes in us and believes that this project has the potential to be something really unique and interesting means a lot to us, and we're really, really excited. That's going to be 2021, so we're going to be trying to shoot around February, March. So excited.
Awesome. So for my next question, who inspired you as a person to get into directing and acting?
I think my number one inspiration, bear with me, I'll show you actually. I think my number one inspiration is Kevin Smith. And the reason being is because he was an individual who, started, who grew up with pretty much nothing, I've got kind of this weird mirrored sort of upbringing with him, He started a dead-end job that he wasn't happy with, and he began writing stories when he was very young. So he one day obviously decided to come up with this project, and he didn't stop until it was finished. There's a funny story where he speaks about how he maxed out 10 credit cards just so he could finance the film. And it's inspiring that someone who started from nothing can, go on. He eventually sold the rights to Clerks for $200,000, went on to create Dogma, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, and his career is just blown there, really. And there's a lot of weird parallels because, he's someone who looked up to making comic book films. There's lots of references to Batman and Spider-Man and like Stan Lee's in a handful of his films. So to have someone as an inspiration who started as just a geek, just a nerd who everyone told, you're not going to be able to make a project, you're not going to be able to finance a film. It really speaks from the heart, So Kevin Smith is my number one inspiration, and I think always will be.
Awesome. So for my next question, what new things have you learned about yourself as a person during all this COVID pandemic stuff?
Oh, that's a very good question. I think the number one thing for me personally has been to push yourself to accomplish things you didn't think you'd accomplish. I mentioned before how with Glados I've just been working on a lot of CGI, but I've learned so much regarding like animating, lighting, rendering technique, things that I would never have pushed myself to learn if there wouldn't have been a lockdown, because, you know, I've had the opportunity to work from home, so they're easy access for me. But other things basically, like, you know, with everyone being sort of like losing the jobs and things like that, it's really made me think of position in life, and it's pushed me to actually create my own production company, because from before 2020, Infinite Potential Films was just a brand on YouTube. We weren't a company, and we just kind of created films for fun. But as of today, I've actually, you know, been in touch with like an accountant. I'm setting this up as a real business now, because it's like COVID has taught me you could, you know, fail at something that you hate doing. So I'd rather just fail at something that I love doing instead. You know, if I have to choose one, I know which one I'd choose any day.
Awesome. So for my next question, if you could be in any TV or movie franchises, what would you want to be in and why?
Oh, that is a very, very good question. I think the easy one is always, you know, people always say the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because it's everyone joins that now. It's like, I think as soon as you get that ticket into Hollywood, it's like, do you want to be in a Marvel film? But you know what? I would love to either be in a Kevin Smith sort of universe. I would settle for, you know, just walking past or doing something quirky in the background. I'd say definitely that. As far as the TV, there's lots of good TV shows out there, like really, really good TV shows. And again, I think there's obvious ones you can pick, like Game of Thrones or Breaking Bad, things like that. But I would go something a little more obscure. I've recently started rewatching the Fringe franchise, which I always loved. I loved it so much. And there's so many good, I wouldn't even call them villains, I'd just call them anti-heroes in that show. And I think I'd just love to be like a one character in an episode of Fringe. I know obviously it's not going anymore, but yeah, maybe I could have shaved my head and been an observer or something like that. I don't know. Who knows?
So for my next question, what are the challenges into acting and directing, and how do you get through those challenges as a person?
Well, there are a lot of challenges. You know, I envy directors who can do both, because I did it for the first time with Batman, and it's the first time I'd acted on screen. You know, behind the scenes things, other little sort of vlogs, but it was the first time I acted in an actual film. And I picked a character as Bruce Wayne Batman that doesn't show emotion. So it was probably a very stupid decision from my part, because even people who I was working with on set, they said it's not like you're not acting, but you basically, as Batman, you're acting with no emotion. So I'd go back and basically do a few other projects first to show people that I can actually somewhat act, because I think I you know, all you've got in that man is your eyebrows and your frown. That's all you've got. No one can see your eyebrows either, so that's those out of the window straight away. And when you frown, sometimes, depending on how the shot looks, it looks like you're smiling. So I'd probably go back and do something else first, and then slowly work my way to projects where I'm directing and acting together. It was just hectic, and I do regret doing it, but I think it's taught me a good lesson for the future.
Awesome. So for my very last question, What new projects are you currently aiming towards that you would like to announce?
So, there are a couple of projects that I have announced before, but I haven't sort of gone into detail or revealed certain things. So I'm gonna sort of go over a few exclusive things right now. So, um, one of our projects that is coming out in 2022 is Batman Arkham City. It'll be the third and final film to our Batman series, and we've done something very unique with this. Not many people know this, but the way that we've set the film up will be set around Arkham City and around the villains inside. But that's not the story we're exploring. We're going to be exploring the Nightfall story. So it's the story where Bane breaks the bat, and we've got so many really interesting ideas to explore. The actor who's playing Bane, Luke Richards, he's been hammering us with all these really cool interpretations of how he wants to portray Bane. And to know that we've got such a dedicated crew and cast involved is just amazing. I can also tell you that the villains that will be featured will be Matthew Ford, who will be reprising his role as the Joker, Bex Jones, who will be reprising her role as Harley Quinn. Then we've also got Jessica Jane Harney, who will be playing Poison Ivy. And there are a few other villains that I can't reveal just yet, but one other thing that I can talk about is sort of the pinnacle of our DC universe, which is the Justice Public Enemies film. That film, we've been working on pre-production for that for 3 years. And it's been sort of a project we keep coming back to. We get back to it when we're feeling really passionate about the characters, because we don't want to, go in half-hearted and come out with not great. So the title suggests that the Justice League will be portrayed as enemies to the public. And what I can say is there's an event at the beginning of the film that sets up the Justice League being villains to society that may or may not necessarily be their fault. By the time the film starts as well, Superman is not a member of the Justice League. Superman is only kind of known as sort of a whispering Kansas and Metropolis. And Superman will also be donning a black film, which will evolve into something so exciting. And as soon as I told Brandon Mellor, who's going to be playing Superman, I told him that my idea. Met him in New York in 2018, and I just told him the idea, all sketched out, and I remember we were in the middle of a hotel lobby, and he just screamed. It was absolutely awesome. So we've got so many exciting things for the Justice League. I really can't wait for people the true potential of these characters on the YouTube platform. It's exciting.
Awesome. Well, can I just say thank you so much, Jonathan, for making an appearance on my show. It means so much. Everyone, definitely go support Jonathan and his incredible work. Any last final thoughts or things that you would like to say?
Just thank you for having me. I mean, this was a really, really nice surprise. It's great talking to another person's audience about the projects that we're so passionate about. And I just want to thank everyone. I know there's been lots of comments going past. Just want to thank everyone for tuning in, and make sure that you follow the Galaxy Man page. I don't know if how many of my followers are in here, but I really think that what you're doing right now by sort of interviewing a combination of up and coming and sort of actors at the top already, I think it's a really good show an idea, because not many people are doing what you're doing, and it's a really interesting concept. So definitely follow him, and make sure that you stay tuned for his. I know you've got an interview with Brandon, who's going to be playing Superman lined up, and I'll definitely be tuned in for that. So I can't wait.
do you know about the Force?
Thank you for responding to this call so quickly. My name is Veron, and it is down to me that you have been brought here from the furthest ends of the galaxy. Remember the rules of the task. Anyone found to be breaking the rules will receive nothing.
So... it was a mighty.